Hello, everybody. All right, that sounds like a mo right there. Anyways, hopefully everybody's having a good week thus far. Um, we're coming down to the end of it, so as we're waiting for more people, I'm going to step away from the camera for a moment to take care of something real quick. I'll be right back, and then we will probably talk about what's going on tonight. All right, I'm back. So we're just, of course, waiting on some people to show up. I hope everybody's had a good week this week. I do think whoever came in and gave me a like and share. That's hopefully we can get some more people in here soon. Yes. There's something out there, but I guess not. Sorry about that. Sticking my arm up like that. I realized I probably should have. Sometimes when something catches your attention, sometimes you just forget little things like that. Um. Anyways, sorry about that. Another one of those occasional brain farts that some of us YouTubers get when we're not completely, aware of what's going on. All right. So, anyways, didn't mean to give you guys that armpit shot, but oh well, things happen. Um, excuse me one more time. I'm just gonna take care of some real quick here. All right, I'm back. Let's see, we're getting close to the 5 minute mark here, so I should probably start talking about what we're going to be going over tonight. So, um, I'm going to do a couple articles, one from Critical Blast and one from Bounding into Comics, and we'll see where we'll go from there. Last night, RJ on his website, RJ Carter on his website, Critical Blast, was writing about, I guess, Warner Brothers, Discovery, and DC Comics were put a Wonder Woman statue up in their Burbank offices. So we'll probably be taking a look at that. Also, at least in some of the movies, one of the movies that James Gunn is doing, he's decided to bring back, for the latest Superman movie, he decided to bring back Truth, Justice, and the American Way. I remember there was we were all talking about that, I think, what was it, last year, maybe a year and a half ago, when DC decided to take that out of the comics and change it to, instead of the American Way, for a Better Tomorrow, which one of the things, of course, eventually led colorist Gabe Eltaeb to leave DC. So, with that, though, sorry about that. Anyways, with that, we're going to go ahead, and as you guys are watching, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we get some more people out here. Also, if anything happens to grab your attention in terms of what we're covering, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I will go ahead and do my best to answer those questions. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. Let's see now. All right, give me one more second to go off camera here for a quick moment here. I'll be right back. One more time. You just got to do one more little thing. All right, so anyways, let's get into this article here. And I think three watching now. Okay. Alrighty then. So let's get into this article then. DC Comics visit Burbank. Warner Brothers Discovery unveil Wonder Woman statue submitted by Critical Blast staff on Wednesday, 3/15/2023, which was yesterday, of course. They're doing it more by military time, 1727, which would equate to 5/27, I believe. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get the full article on display here. All right, so there we go. There we got the full article there now. Let's see what's going on here. A warrior for peace will stand as a symbol of justice for visitors and residents of Burbank to enjoy for generations to come. A 7.5-foot tall bronze Wonder Woman statue was unveiled today in a special ceremony at the Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood as part of a partnership between Visit Burbank, which I'm guessing is the touring arm of the city of Burbank's municipal operations, DC, and Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, aside from being a warrior for peace and a symbol of justice, Wonder Woman also, if you For those of you who remember her, who know her origins, also talked a lot about submitting oneself in loving submission as well. So, there's a little bit of a history thing there. Today's unveiling ceremony was attended by local government and business luminaries, including Burbank Mayor Constantine Anthony, Pam Lifford, President Global Brands, Franchises and Experiences, Jim Lee, DC Chief Creative Officer and Publisher, and Wonder Woman 1984 director Patty Jenkins. Okay. Quote, Wonder Woman is one of the world's most beloved and iconic DC superheroes of all time. A champion of truth, justice, and warrior for peace, unquote, said Pam Lifford, president of Global Brands, Franchises, and Experiences. Quote, as we kick off the Warner Brothers 100th anniversary, so 100th anniversary is 1923 then, which ironically in my history segments is about when I usually start going over, at least right now. 100th anniversary, sharing every story. Wonder Woman is part of this company's story and legacy. Not only is she a prominent fixture of the studio tour, she will now be a permanent fixture of our story as our story continues for the next 100 years, unquote. And there, right there, I guess that's Patty Jenkins. That might be Patty Jenkins and Jim Lee right there. If I recognize people right. That would look great in my garden. I'm sure a lot of you would agree with you there, RJ. I'm sure a lot of you would agree with you on that one. Quote, since she made her debut in the pages of All Star Comics number 8, I thought it was 3, but okay, maybe it was 8. Wonder Woman has been published all over the world and has inspired millions of fans around the world who saw themselves in the action-packed pages of the comic books as Linda Carter in the TV show or Gal Gadot in the movies, unquote. Now, again, remarked Jim Lee, DC Chief Creative Officer and Publisher. Now, before I continue on here, once again, I just want to remind everybody, aside from being a warrior for peace and a symbol of justice, when Wonder Woman was originally created, she would also advise people to submit in loving submission. And RG, I know you know what that meant, considering we've talked quite a bit about the creators of Wonder Woman and what they were into. Anyways. As we continue on here. Quote, her real secret superpower is that she continues to bring fans together around something they love, unquote. The over 600-pound Wonder Woman statue was based on a design by acclaimed artist Jenny Frison and was crafted by Burbank's American Fine Arts Foundry and Fabrication. To celebrate the city's newest statue, Visit Burbank is also reprinting the famed story of Amelia Earhart landing on Themyscira from Wonder Woman Agent of Peace, written by Amanda Diebert, with art by Aaron Lopresti. Aaron Lopresti, a member of Comicsgate, of course, as I understand it. The comic will feature a brand new cover and will be available via Visit Burbank. As I said, I believe Visit Burbank is probably the touring arm of the city of Burbank there. Oh, here we go. Yeah, DC Chief Creative Officer and publisher Jim Lee and Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins flank the Amazon princess. Okay. The newly installed Wonder Woman statue can be viewed 24 hours a day in front of the Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood at 3400 Warner Boulevard, Burbank, California. For more information on the Warner Brothers Studio Tour, you can go to the wbstudiotour.com. For the latest information on everything DC, visit dc.com. Follow DC at DC Official at the DC Nation on social media. The DC Universe Infinite Digital Subscription Service is your one-stop spot for a host of classic and memorable stories. More information and to subscribe, check out DC Universe Infinite. And of course, I guess this is the first pager. Now look at how Wonder Woman was dressed back then by Charles Marston. So, as compared to today, she actually had more of a skirt than what we see today, what we even saw in the 70s. There. Oh, there we go. So we're done with that one. Let's see. That one went real quick. Ah. Anyways, getting ready to move on to the next article then. And we might actually add an article here, as it looks like got some news on Dr. Stone here. And maybe we might actually add that because they'll help fill out some time here. Okay, so here's the next article. This is originally going to be the last article we would have done tonight, but it looks like we may have another one that just came in after I made my decisions earlier to what to cover tonight. All right, so let's see if any. And as always, guys, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here. Also, if anything that we talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to do the best I can to answer the questions. Anyways, getting ready to move on here to the next article here about this lady thing with Superman here. So, first and not now, just as a little side note here, normally I don't do the mainstream movies as much. I look at these live action movies as a different canon altogether, not necessarily associated with comics. That's why I don't usually talk about them. But this kind of is a very interesting aspect considering what's happened over the last year and a half or so. So just bear that in mind. First synopsis for, in smaller quotes, Superman Legacy, directed by James Gunn, released, brings back, quote, truth, justice, and the American way motto. Now, if you remember, of course, I think it was about a year and a half ago where DC Comics had decided to drop it from the comics. This is one of the things that ended up leading, maybe even 2 years. It may go back even further than that, 2 years, maybe. It actually ended up with colorist Gabe Eltaeb just deciding to just quit DC and just go off on his own because of that. So let's get into this article here. Article by J.B. Augustine, published earlier today. Let's see if anybody's saying anything yet. Nope, guess not. We'll head on here. All right, so Warner Brothers just released the first official synopsis for the reboot Superman Legacy that wipes the slate clean for the Man of Steel in new DCU, brought to us by co-CEOs James Gunn and Peter Safran of DC Studios, dealing with a younger Superman not played by Henry Cavill. Legacy Summary has something that will please fans. The synopsis as follows. Brings back the tried and true motto Superman is renowned for. Quote, Superman Legacy tells the story of Superman's journey to reconcile his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as Clark Kent of Smallville, Kansas. He is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way, guided by human kindness in a world that sees kindness as old-fashioned. Wow, interesting. Unquote. Gunn, who is now attached to direct, teased what will shape his Superman in a Twitter update. Quote, then a bit less than a year ago, I saw a way in many ways centering around Superman's heritage by both his aristocratic Kryptonian parents and his Kansas farmer parents inform who he is and the choices he makes, unquote, he wrote. Huh. Let's see if anybody's saying anything yet in response. Hey, Woody. Truth, justice, and world peace. Yeah, that's something that maybe something that SJWs would prefer than the American way, but I think we're starting to see more and more people going away from woke. Granted, as we heard, even Chuck Dixon doesn't believe it's going to completely go away. But anyways, Gunn added he didn't initially want to direct, but finally caved to the pestering of Safran and others. Quote, so I chose to finally take on writing the script, but I was hesitant to direct despite the constant pestering by Peter Safran and others to commit, in parentheses here, sorry, Peter, unquote, he said. Currently, however, he's ready to go up and away, unquote, quote unquote. Up and away in my beautiful balloon. Anyways, additionally, Gunn hopes his movie will be a four quadrant film that should speak to everyone in the world. Unquote. Safran is co-producing and calls Superman Legacy the start of their DCU. Beyond all that, we know next to nothing about the story, but the speculation is roaring. One theory seeks to frame the film within the larger shared universe being built. Superman, the 85th Anniversary Collection. 1938. So, yeah, that would been, I guess that would be 85 years ago. Cover by art by Jim and Scott Williams. Okay. Direct posits Gunn and Safran may borrow from the Joe Kelly story, What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way, a tale introducing the elite. Gunn could take the opportunity to bring the Authority to the big screen, a group that is coming to the DCU and a major inspiration for the elite. Superman Legacy is out in July 2025. Wow, that one went quick too. Man, these articles are going quicker now. Usually they would have had a little more meat on these articles, but I guess not this time. Well, lucky thing that there was an article here that seemed to be added. Hey, Metal. But the American way is peacemaking, or at least that what Colt told me about their single action revolver. Yeah. Yeah, a peacemaker. Yeah, Colt 45 being a peacemaker. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for the likes and the shares, of course. All right, so let's see now. Let's see. So, no, I guess they did have one or two new articles that came up since I um. And here's one right here for anime. Is an anime related article. Let's see, where are we at on time here? Oh yeah, we're wow, we're not even at 30 minutes yet, and I'm almost done with articles. Let's see now. All right, so Doctor Stone season 3 set sail with debut trailer and official release date announcement. Article by Nerdigans Inc. published March 16th, which is today. Let's take a look at this. Dr. Stone fans, it's time to get excited once again, set sail across the Pacific Ocean, as TMS Entertainment has officially confirmed that the third season premiere date of their animated take on the popular scientific adventure series is just over the horizon. Details regarding the release plans for Dr. Stone's third season, officially subtitled Dr. Stone New World, were first revealed on March 11th, courtesy of a new trailer. Based on the trailer, it looks like New World will be covering the Treasure Island arc of author Riichiro Inagaki and artist Boichi's original manga. Therein, after finding that the Kingdom of Science's supply of revival fluid has been depleted, protagonist Senku Ishigami, who is voiced in the Japanese by Yusuke Kobayashi, who is known for voicing Tenza Yamada Simon in Hell's Paradise Jigo Kuraku, um, sets out in search of a who sets out in search of a secret store of relevant materials, supposedly hidden away on the eponymous Treasure Island. See if anybody's saying anything, and again, feel free to comment on or ask questions if anything here catches you guys' attention here. Anyways, however, upon arriving to the island, the sorcerer and his team discover that its inhabitants have all fallen victim to the series' number one affliction, petrification. Which, for those of you who may not know what that term means, it basically means that people get turned to stone. Hence, kind of the name Dr. Stone, yes. Discovering the cause of this plight to be the local dictator Ibarra and his abuse of the aptly named petrification weapon against his own peoples, Senku and the crew of the Perseus proceed to offer their help in freeing Treasure Island from its plight. According to the trailer, Dr. Stone, New World will, like the annoyingly growing number of productions, have its full episode count released in 2 separate cores, with its first part currently set to debut on April 6th, which will be a Thursday. For English-speaking fans, same-day simulcast and a dub of Senku's newest Journey will both be provided by Crunchyroll, the former starting on the same day as the Japanese broadcast, and the latter beginning 2 weeks later on April 20th. All right. And there we go with that one. These articles are going a little quicker there. All right, so there we go. That's, I think, all I got for the articles here. And we're coming up short again. Let me see one more, maybe bleeding full. Not I can find stuff to talk about here. Freestyle here. Let me just see here. If there's anything here of just another set of. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, nothing really up there. So let's see. Alrighty then. So what can we talk about here? Freelance for a bit. Let's see. Well, if there's anything you guys wanted to talk about or ask about, right now might be a good time. If you guys, there's anything you guys wanted to ask about, anything that's been out recently or anything like that, we can do that. Let's see. What are some other things? Oh, one of the things that I do kind of remember looking over earlier today, as I was looking over some stuff. So Yellow Flash was talking about how I guess there's this Netflix animated series that quietly got canceled. I don't remember the name of the series, but it was essentially it was kind of a series directed towards kids, starring a quote unquote non-binary bison, and they were basically trying to push all that. The show is essentially about a bison who came out to his grandmother about not really being any now granted this is directed towards kids and we know it's propaganda, as even the Yellow Flash had pointed out in it, and I totally agreed with him. This kind of stuff shouldn't be being pushed on kids at all because their minds are very impressionable. I mean, I would even almost go as far as to say people are doing this, producing this kind of show, are actually abusing children. I'd say that people push, you know, kids obviously haven't gone through puberty yet. Their bodies haven't even started to actually naturally change yet, and you're already trying to force changes on them. Really? It's kind of stupid. It's not the kind of thing you should be pushing on kids. Okay? Which is why it is important for parents to make sure you monitor what your kids are watching. Because if you're not careful, the mass media, the corporate media, the state will take will steal your kids away from you. They may not come like a thief in the night and physically grab your kids, but they will steal their minds. And I'm sure most parents out there, if not all parents, That's not what you want. You don't want the government coming in and trying to raise your kids or trying to tell them what to think. You want, you need to be responsible for that. So let's see. So now, what else? So that's my 2 cents on that. I did talk quite a bit about Toonami last night, just to remind everybody that Food Wars. So up for the last month, they've been doing like 2 episodes, both My Hero Academia and One Piece, for the first couple hours of Toonami from 12 to 2 before finishing off with Naruto Shippuden and Gendy Tartakovsky's Primal. Now it looks like they're going to replace one of the One Piece episodes with bringing in the 5th season for Food Wars, which I'm glad for because I like the show. It's a pretty good show, pretty good, and it's done by Seraphim Digital Sounds, which is the recording arm of Sentai Filmworks. So it's a Houston group that is. And granted, even though some of them do pull double duty, there are some of the voice actors and actresses who kind of are pulling double duty for both, Sentai and now Crunchyroll, formerly Funimation. Those who are from Funimation, you guys know, I don't think carry as quite as much influence at Sentai as they do with Crunchyroll. So, anyways, so now starting this Saturday, of course, from 12 to 1, will be 12 to 1 Eastern will be My Hero Academia. Then at 1 a.m. will be Food Wars, Shogeki no Soma. 1:30 One Piece, 2 a.m. Naruto Shippuden, and finally finishing off with Gendy Tartakovsky's Primal. Let's see. What else is there? Yeah, we talked a lot about a lot of things here. Let's see. And again, if you guys have anything you want to add to the conversation here, or ask about, feel free to do so. Let's see now. Let's see. Well, I do know, and probably what is now probably about 2.5 weeks away. And we just, of course, we just saw the announcement of the 3rd season of Dr. Stone. April, of course, will be the month in which a lot of the spring releases over in Japan, the spring anime releases will be coming out. So throughout the first couple of weeks there, we'll probably be reading up on a lot of that. We already saw some indications yesterday that about the release of season 2 of Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury. So you will probably be seeing more and more stuff being announced as time goes on. Let's see. And of course, I'll get to the wrestling wrap up in a bit here. We got quite a stuff going on with Dynamite, stuff that they're potentially setting up. Let's see. Can I actually keep? I guess maybe I can. Since there doesn't seem to be any other. Since there doesn't seem. Yeah, I guess I can kind of get to the wrestling wrap up a little early here because I can probably just run my mouth about stuff for a while there on that. Let's see. Okay, so first off, of course, in WWE, one of the big news coming out of WWE today is that Batista will not be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. Now, a big part of the reason is because he wants to make sure he can be there, to actually accept the award. And they've been talking about putting him in the WWE Hall of Fame for the last couple years here, but his now that he's done more with Hollywood and he's got a big Hollywood, much like the same situation with John Cena and The Rock. Um, it's a lot of it's dependent upon their schedules. And this year, it just would seem that Dave Bautista is just too busy to be able to break away to go to the Hall of Fame ceremony, working on his latest project. Now, already confirmed for this year's Hall of Fame inductions, which will be Friday, March 31st. Already confirmed, of course, are Rey Mysterio Jr. and the Great Muta. Rey Mysterio Jr. Looks like will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame by Conan. And at least the scuttlebutt seems to be that the Great Muta, who may not have actually had any direct relationships with the WWE in the past, they're inducting him more for his overall body of work. And the fact is, he did have some matches in Japan against Hulk Hogan during the time of Hogan's popularity, of the popularity of Hulkamania. So, but it looks like Ric Flair had actually asked to be allowed to induct Muta. Now, as I was mentioning yesterday, of course, many fans would actually like to see Sting induct Muta, but as it is right now, that's not likely going to happen due to the fact that even though Sting has more of a history with Muta, has more of a connection to Muta, because of the fact Sting is currently signed with AEW and the issues going on between AEW and WWE, chances that any talent from AEW who is currently signed to AEW doing anything for WWE is pretty slim, slim to none. As of course, Tony Khan has accused the WWE of contract tampering by trying to contact current AEW stars to get them to try to get out of their contracts and come back. And and of course we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk a little bit about Dynamite last night on TN, I believe it's TBS. As some stuff happened there. Aside from the matches themselves, there were some interesting promotions and a return as well. But we'll get into that in a moment. I'm just trying to make sure talked about everything regarding WWE. So let's see. For now, let's see. And of course, WWE is continuing to prepare for WrestleMania, which will be April 1st and 2nd this year, Saturday and Sunday, which will be about 2 weeks from this weekend, about 2.5 weeks away from that. So they'll be pushing that more and more. Let's see. With that, we move on to the AEW news, because last night, of course, AEW had its Dynamite event. You had three title matches on the night, in which the Trios title, the newly christened International title, and the TBS title were all defended. On last night's show. Now, the opening match saw the Blackpool Combat Club defeat Adam Page and the Dark Order tandem of Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. And there was this feud seems to be heating up quite a bit as there's just been a lot of heat. And it does seem like AEW is trying to turn at least the three members that we've been seeing active as the Blackpool Combat Club heel. Current Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion Claudio Castagnoli, current Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta, and some of the antics from the match last night, make you still wonder if he even still deserves to have the Pure title, because, and then Jon Moxley, the former 3-time AEW champion. So apparently in the beatdown after the match, Evil Uno was sent to the hospital. Stu Grayson went with him. Now, after the match ended, of course, after their match ended, the Blackpool Combat Club kept beating up on Dark Order until the other two members of Dark Order, Alex Reynolds and John Silver, came out to support their buddies. And then the fight continued throughout the night, where they even spilled into the main event of the three-way trios title match. With at one point the Elite, after that match, coming to back up Adam Page as he was about to endure, came close to enduring a 3-on-1 attack from Blackpool. Now, again, I don't know where Bryan Danielson stands in all this, because he hasn't been actively involved. Like, obviously, he's coming off the program with MJF. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But that's basically what's going on with there. And then in her open challenge to Canadians, Jade Cargill beat Nicole Matthews in 43 seconds. As Dynamite was in Winnipeg last night from the Canada Life Center in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. After that, of course, Renee Paquette came to the ring to interview her, only for Renee to be kind of threatened and intimidated out of the ring as Jade was running her mouth and pushing buttons and saying, "Is that all Canada's got? Is that all Canada's got?" She was ready to challenge Renee Paquette, who I guess happens to be Canadian. But Renee, of course, is not a competitor. She's an interviewer. She's a commentator, interviewer. She's not a competitor. And which, of course, eventually led to the AEW debut of Taya Valkyrie. As far as I know, currently still the 1/3, as it were, of the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Tag Team Champions, with Rosemary and Jessica. Taya Valkyrie came out, and after Jade kind of threw her other baddie there, or the last of the baddies, to Taya there, Taya executed the double chicken wing facebuster move. Now, mind you, Jade's been using that in AEW, calling it Jaded, but that was also that's been Taya's longtime move, called the Road to Valhalla. So that feud's going to be interesting to watch. As a fan, I'm just hoping that Taya doesn't get stuck being another one of Cargill's victims. I think Cargill's got too big. Personally, I feel that Jade Cargill's got too big of a head, and she needs to be humbled. Somebody needs to humble her. And I seriously hope that Taya can humble Jade Cargill. really humble her. Take the TBS title off of Jade, and you know make her push her paces. Um, then we had for the newly christened AEW International title, formerly known as the AEW All Atlantic title, Orange Cassidy showed incredible resilience after having been attacked by Jarrett last week. Jarrett and Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt, that group attacking last week. He showed resolve to overcome the odds and defeat Jarrett for the newly christened international title. Now, during the match, of course, and just after the match too, or towards the end of the match, a number, Jay Lethal came out of the crowd to attack Orange Cassidy, try to help Jarrett win. That's when Trent Beretta came out. Now, initially, Trent and Chuck Taylor were both supposed to come out. Chuck Taylor was not able to make Dynamite last night because he had some emergency dental surgery to deal with. So, surgery isn't going to take him out of any action per se, but he should be back soon. But of course, he wasn't there to help out Cassidy fend off the attacks of Jarrett, Lethal, Singh, and Sanjay. Anyways, and in the main event saw the House of Black retain the Trios title over former champs, the Elite, and the Jericho Appreciation Society contingent of Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Daniel Garcia. This was a solid match. A lot of action, very competitive. The House of Black just more or less just finishing. At one point giving Chris Jericho their finisher, and then giving it to Daniel Garcia, and finally getting the pin on Daniel Garcia. Some other things that came out from this match, of course. In the aftermath of the match, there was a big, huge brawl going on between not just the three teams involved in the match, but also, Dark Order and Blackpool Combat Club came out. As mentioned earlier, there, that feud is right now. And then, as Adam Page was on the verge of being attacked 3-on-1 by the Blackpool Combat Club of Castagnoli, Moxley, and Yuta, the Elite came in and started backed him up a bit. So there's some interesting stuff going on there as well. Some other stuff that was going on throughout the night, of course. One of the other things that happened was MJF. MJF came out for his quote-unquote re-bar mitzvah in celebration of defeating Bryan Danielson at Revolution for the AEW World title. Well, the other three pillars, basically there are four guys who are looked at as the pillars of AEW. The guys who look at as being the future. Of course, in this case, we're getting to the point now that the future seems to be now. Because one pillar is MJF, the current AEW World Champion. Another pillar is Darby Allin, a 3-time TNT champion. Then you have another 3-time TNT champion in Sammy Guevara, who is, of course, in the JAS camp. And you have Jungle Boy Jack Perry, who's, of course, a former AEW tag champion, as well as coming off feud with Christian Cage. And there were some very interesting tidbits that came out of this. as it were. Let's see. As we were talking here, in which the three of them came out, the other three came out to confront MJF. And now, one thing that was somewhat criticized a bit here was they were, at least according to WrestleMania, Darby Allin's promo seemed a little too real, as it were, as he would make note of some of the veterans who were there, albeit why he did not specifically mention anybody by names, talking about how there's a bunch of grown men in the, who are sitting there crying on Facebook. Of course, this is alluding to guys like Miro and Andrade, who haven't really been getting, getting as much exposure as they feel they should be, And, there have been a number of us, including myself, who've been somewhat critical on some of, Tony Khan's booking, like particularly with Big Men. Like, again, I think two of the biggest things have been talked about lately is one, them putting the AEW World Tag Titles on Austin and Colton Gunn, and then the other thing of just how they kind of screwed over Wardlow, in terms of his second TNT title reign of only being 3 days. So that has been talked about quite a bit in regards to that. Let's see. What else in that? Well, of course, we got a little bit more insight. We kind of found out who broke into Wardlow's car a couple weeks ago. It happened to be, it sounds like from what their angle they're playing up now, is it was probably QT Marshall, and trying to help Powerhouse Hobbs. Now Hobbs is also getting, starting to open challenges, and the first challenge he had was to Aaron Solo, who many people argue maybe shouldn't be given this opportunity, but considering the styles clash and just the sheer size difference, but that's a lot of what's been going on of late. In AEW, of course, we're talking a little bit more deeply about it. Not much more to talk about elsewhere. Let's see. Hey, Timothy. What happened? Well, I already got through the articles I went through tonight. They were. I got through them I got them quicker than I thought I would. So I just decided to spend a little more time on wrestling news here and just talking about like kind of stuff going on with WWE and AEW, and probably getting into another part of the story here in a few minutes here. But just going into a little bit more detail about some of the booking and aspects. Oh, another thing about AEW too is that they're gonna start doing house shows now as well, starting this weekend. I think it's in Troy, Ohio, I believe. Let me just double check. They got a house show tour they're getting ready to do. They're calling it House Rules. They're calling the in Troy, Ohio, starting in Troy, Ohio this weekend, from the Whole Start Arena. First two matches that were signed for the House Rules shows, for the House Rules show this Saturday, anyways. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, taking on NJAS, and Claudio Castagnoli and John Moxley of the Blackpool Combat Club taking on the firm's Big Bill and Lee Moriarty. So it looks like they're gonna, even though it seems like they've been pushing Blackpool on TV, they've been pushing Blackpool Combat Club as a heel faction of late. again, still don't know where Bryan Danielson fits in all this. Um, um, maybe on the house shows they're gonna push him as a face faction. So basically heel meaning bad guy, face meaning good guy. So I'd say so. Now we're finally at the hour mark here. So there is one more piece of wrestling. And again, if anything's on your mind, anything niche wise on your mind, feel free to comment or ask questions. Try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. But the last piece of wrestling news, I'll go over here, or one of the last pieces, was apparently it was announced that the passing of Jeff Gaylord. Now I know that name doesn't sound familiar to most fans because he primarily his career primarily was in Memphis, in Tennessee, as part of USWA in the late '80s, early '90s. As the Missouri Tiger, he held I believe he held the USWA tag team titles on a few occasions, particularly twice with with Jeff Jarrett. But apparently he had passed away today, and it wasn't he was a two-time USWA tag. He also was one of the knights for Shawn Michaels back in '93 during his feud with Jerry the King Lawler. Let's see. Now Jeff Gaylord was a former football player who of course made the transition to professional wrestling. Let's see. See if I can find some more information on him here. Of course, during his wrestling time, he was nicknamed the ring name he would use was the Missouri Tiger. He was also known as he was a member of Psycho Sid Vicious's the Psychos faction, as well as Akeem Hassan in the USWA faction, the Nation of Domination. He was a Black Knight at the 1993 Survivor Series match. Let's see. And what did he die of? What just see. I think there was some kind of illness. He So it was announced today. So they probably haven't released a whole lot of information on it. Apparently, I think they did say he had a short illness. Passes away at the. Let's see this here. I'm trying to find out if they did announce him. I think they just simply said it was some kind of short illness. Jeff Gaylord, of course, was 64 years old. Again, I know a lot of people wouldn't have known him because, again, he didn't really. He primarily made his name in USWA. He was also, as I said, the Black Knight in the 1993 Survivor Series. So that's as much on the wrestling news I can give. There's not much more to say. I mean, I could talk about like No Surrender pay per view for Impact next week, but might just save that till next week, early part of next week. Um, so over the next few weeks, so next Friday, of course, Impact Wrestling is going to have its No Surrender pay per view, and then following Thursday, the 30th, they're going to be involved in a multiverse of matches wrestling festival in conjunction with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Then as we said, on the 31st, the weekend of the 31st, first and second, WWE is having its WrestleMania weekend event with the Hall of Fame on Friday, and then the event itself over 2 days on the first, second. 31st is also going to have the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view, Supercard of Honor. And then the following week on April 7th will be next week on April the 7th will be the next NWA pay-per-view of, they're calling it 312, in which they'll be at Studio One in Chicago, Illinois. So that's at least some of the big events coming up over the next few weeks in wrestling. Again, if there's anything you guys want to ask about or talk about, feel free to comment or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions, or we can get a conversation going on whatever is on your mind in terms of the world of niche. I think I've pretty much run the gamut on a lot of things that I was going to talk about tonight. Kind of went a little more detail on wrestling since the articles ran quickly tonight. So anything on your guys' mind, maybe? See, anything else on my mind? Well, I already talked about Toonami. I already talked about the releases. So let's see, wrestling news. Let's see, what else? Is there anything else of note to bring up here? Of course, you guys can also catch all the latest in terms of some of the newer independent projects coming out on Critical Blast channel, RJ's channel. Earlier tonight, he was interviewing Miriam Nova on her latest book, Bonds, I believe. That was interesting. I know that Chris Tomolovich has manga coming out soon. I think that's set to. They finally going to be sending out the books on April 1st. Rick Piper's continuing getting his works in there, particularly right now with Snowdrift. Yeah. All right, so gonna give it just a couple more minutes here to see if you guys have anything more you want to ask about or talk about. If not, well, I guess we'll start to wrap up and try to get through the this day in each history segment. Let's see. 93, 73. All right, let's see. Anybody have anything they want to ask about? Let's see here. It looks like. All right, so I think I'm going to start to wind things down a bit here. So here we go then. All right. So here we go then. So um, today being Thursday, March 16th, 2023. Why don't we go ahead and take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history? History. Anyways, let me. All right. First off, we're going to head back 50 years ago today. As on this date, 50 years ago today, Gene Kiniski would defeat Terry Funk for the NWA Missouri title. Now, this was a title that was created um, in the Missouri territory of the NWA by Sam Munchnick when Central States Wrestling, at a time when Harley Race was the Central States heavyweight champion, and promoters there decided to do a quick title. And Sam Munchnick was somebody who was in charge of NWA at the time, did not really like the title change there. So he decided, what he would do is, instead of continuing to have the Central States title as the main title defended as part of the St. Louis territory as well, he decided to create his own title, the Missouri title that was established earlier that year in 1973 in the finals of that. In the finals of that, back in January. Let's see, was it January? Let's see here. Yeah, on January 19th, Johnny Valentine had defeated Harley Race for the Missouri championship to become the first Missouri champion. And then as time would go on here, and it did lead to a bit of a schism between the St. Louis territory and the Central States territory too, as we'd see here later. And Terry Funk would defeat Johnny Valentine for the Missouri title on February 10th, and then of course that would eventually lead to the following month of Gene Kiniski, who at this point in time, of course, was was a former NWA World Champion as well as a former AWA World Champion, defeating Terry Funk for the Missouri title. So that's all from there on that one. Now moving ahead to, I believe, 1993, which was 30 years ago today. On this date in 1993, um, from the Dark Horse International imprint of Dark Horse Comics, the fifth issue of Aliens went on sale on this date back in 1993. Sold for $2.95, and it was 48 pages. Now, one of the interesting things I was noticing here with Dark Horse, I don't know if this was just a temporary thing or what, but back then, now normally when we see the cover dates are usually later than the on sale dates. Here, it's reversed. The cover date is actually coming before the actual on sale date. So, cover date for this was November 1992, with the on sale date of March 16th, 1993. That was something that caught my attention there. So, on this date, 1993, the the fifth issue of Aliens from the Dark Horse International imprint of Dark Horse Comics went on sale on this date. Um, anyways, All right. So, anyways, we're continuing on here. Get ready to move on to the next piece of now. Now on this. Now we're heading now to 2013. So 10 years ago today. On this date, 10 years ago today, the Warner Brothers Animation produced in conjunction with DC Entertainment the 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 series, the Green Lantern, the animated series, would complete its run on this date in 2013 on Cartoon Network. On this date in 2013, the DC Entertainment Warner Brothers Animation produced show Green Lantern, the animated series, would complete its run. Of course, you had they featured Hal Jordan Green Lantern, who in this series was voiced by Josh Keaton, with Kilowog being voiced by veteran voice actor Kevin Michael Richardson. Jason Spisak, who was previously Keo on Zatch Bell, lent his voice to Razor. They reformed Red Lantern. Ray Delisle lent her voice as Aya. So on this date, back in 2013, the DC animated animation and Warner Brothers Animation, DC Entertainment and Warner Brothers Animation production of Green Lantern the animated series would complete its run on Cartoon Network. Also, 2013 is just so nice that we're gonna hit it twice. As on this date in 2013 as well, 10 years ago today, Toei Animation's Pretty Cure All Stars New Stage 2, Friends of My Heart, would premiere in Japanese theaters on this date in 2013. So Toei Animation's Pretty Cure All Stars New Stage number 2, Friends of the Heart, would premiere on this date back in 2013. For Toei Animation. Part of the Pretty Cure franchise, as it were. So with that, let's see. Yeah, we're at an hour 18 seconds, probably. So with that, with everything being said and done, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I hope you guys enjoyed the articles that we went over tonight. Of course, tomorrow night, don't forget, tomorrow night I'll have Terry from Mighty Geek Studios with me co-hosting as we look over comics that went on sale in September 1939 from Centaur. We'll be reading, most likely we'll be reading Phantom of the Fair, Dan Denton, Science Detective. I'll be introducing you guys to Mini Midget and Mighty Man. So we'll be reading from like Amazing Mystery Funnies, Amazing Men Comics, and Keen Detective Funnies. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Be looking forward to reading through the comics and hearing you guys' seeing you guys' commentary on that, as well as, of course, Terry and I will be not just reading from the stories, but also be giving our commentary on what we're reading. So I know everybody enjoys that experience, and I look forward to it tomorrow night. Also, we'll be back on Sunday with our panel to discuss a lot of stuff going on over the past week in the world of Nietzsche, and then be back next week with more Nietzsche news on Monday. With that, thank everybody for being here. I hope you guys have a good rest of your night, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.